So, this is the answer video for two different videos. The tag where I had to say 3 things, one of which was a lie, and the video where I said anyone could ask me any question. And so here we go. I'm not going to edit this. This is just, the answer is raw. This is not a cuchara, which Violet Kitten was very apt to point out. Cuchara means spoon in Spanish. And I was surprised that Mega Chepo didn't call me out on saying it wrong. You know, I tried to make it as obvious as possible. There's also a lot of other people that know that I've never been stationed in Panama while I was in the Army. This did come from Panama, and it has Panama burned into the side by the person who made it. But it has the name of what it actually is, Churuca, right there on the end. And it's one of those tourist things that people pick up. And actually my sister and my stepmother, they went to Panama and they picked this up for me because they know that I like to collect musical instruments from around the world. So there you go, that's what the lie was. Let's see. I got off really lucky with the whole Q&A thing for having 400 subs. I only had 5 people ask me questions, and I wasn't going to make another video saying, hey, everybody, you're missing out on your chance to ask me questions. You know, even though some people said, oh, I can't think of anything. I'm going to post something later maybe. You know, I'm not going to remind anyone. This was like, what if they came up with a really hard to answer question, you know? All This Valor asked Seriously Silly 4 where was the strangest place that she ever made whoopee in. You know, I don't want to answer questions like that, so I'm just going to take these questions, these few questions that I did get, and answer these, and consider myself as having dodged a bullet here. So, Brian J., 1962, he borrows the question from Jaguar Jones, which Jaguar Jones puts under a lot of different people's question and answer videos. Discuss the political, social, and logistical ramifications if people had tails. Now see, the question, it says if people had tails. We do have vestigial tails. They're just not on the outsides of our body. And there are some people that exist that have their tails on the outside of their body due to mutation. And so I'm basing most of my answer to this question on those people who actually do have tails. For example, what protocols for touching each other's tails? What protocols would we have, I guess he means. I don't think touching someone's tail would be appropriate unless they allowed you to. It'd be something, you know, I mean, you wouldn't touch a stranger's tail. Just like you wouldn't, you know, hold someone's hand if you were walking down the street in the same direction as them unless you knew them. But I think that different cultures might develop different protocols for holding people's tails. Like, while I was in Korea, I saw men holding each other's hands and men walking down the street arm in arm, and it did not mean that they were homosexual. It was just part of their culture that men are allowed to be touchy-feely with each other out in public in that manner. You know, in a way that Americans would be like, ugh, gross, cooties, man. You know, so. Lovers only, or could business deals be sealed on a tail twist? Now, I don't think that business deals would be sealed on a tail twist. because I'm going on based on the tails that I've actually seen people have. They're little nubby little things, and they're hard to twist anyway. And I think that people would normally, if they were in business clothes, they would probably not want to pull down their pants in order to show their tail. I think the tail would be hidden most of the time. And but I think there might, if everyone had tails, there might be something that pops up in some cultures that was akin to crossing your fingers while telling a lie. It kind of absolves you from telling the truth. And during a business transaction, maybe someone could take their tail and like scratch their booty hole, or and then that would mean that they are telling a lie, but it doesn't count as a lie because they had their tail up there. So would we cover tails? Based on the tails that I've seen in real life, yes, we would, because they would fit into our clothing in much the same way that they do now. It's just a matter of whether or not the skin folded in a certain way that makes those tails that are present in our population right now visible. So, yeah, I think we'd cover tails. But if tails were, long like a dog, like not the dogs that have their tails chopped off like a poodle or a Doberman, but say if they were long like a German Shepherd, some people might actually want their tails to show. They might grow their tail hair out longer, and some people might want to groom their tail hair. I think if Ichiro Cannot Die had a tail like a German Shepherd, he would want it to come out, and he'd want his back of his head of his hair to come down and meet that tail hair, so it just looked like one long progression of hair going down his back. I think that's how he would wear it, in a witch's dress. So, let's see. What types of fashion would tails have? Well, I'm reminded of when Arsenic Cigarettes said she wouldn't deny anyone a tattoo of any kind because they would just go down the street and get a tattoo from someone else. I'm thinking if someone came into her store and wanted their tail pierced for fashion or for sexual arousal reasons, I don't think that she would deny them. So I think maybe there'd be like those barbells that you could pierce any other part of your body with. They would have some specific for tails, and maybe ribs for her pleasure. What part would tails play in sexuality? Tails, well, depending on what angle of approach you used in the sexual position that you were trying to achieve, you might have to push them out of the way. But they could also be used for extra stimulus. Could football players grab tails to effect a tackle? In most of the sports that I watch, which are mostly full contact sports, there are rules about small digit manipulation being illegal because it would be just too easy to break someone's fingers, and there's no sport to that. And if tails were just as easily broken as fingers and toes, then I think they would fall under the small digit manipulation rule. But if the tails of human beings were actually used for balance and they actually had more weight in them, more like a dinosaur, I think that it would be completely okay for people to effect a tackle on that kind of a body part. It all depends on the size of the tail. And that's it from Brian J. 1962. Thank goodness. Sabohake wants to know, how big is your highlights? It's how big are your highlights? but when I bleached my hair out, I believe the bangs of my hair were about 2 inches long, and aside from the bleaching creating brittleness, which made parts of the hair break off, they're pretty much still 2 inches. I didn't get the highlights put in the traditional way of having the hair and then just bleaching it. This was an entirely blonde head. If you go back in my videos, you can see the proof of that. And I just had the blonde cut off the sides. So that's his question. AKA Squared wants to know, what is your favorite sign of religious stupidity? Well, the one that's going through my head right now is one that I have not published yet, because I'm going to make a big deal out of it. And it is a bunch of park benches that have actually made national news, and they happen to be in the area that I'm in right now. And they give the day and time that Jesus is going to be returning. So that would be like Judgment Day, and it happens to be just a few months from now. So I figured, since I'm in the area, I am going to go to that church and ask them about their beliefs. And I think that's going to be a really exciting thing for me. And that's the biggest road sign that I have in my head right now. Arsenic Cigarettes wants to know, how does someone from Louisiana, she was going off the description of my channel, wind up liking the Steelers over the Saints? Well, I'm not in Louisiana right now. I was probably when she got her information. But aside from telling you all the different places that I've grown up and have been since growing up, I can tell you that I don't really pick what sports team that I am a fan of based on where I've lived. When I was a kid, I went to a few Dodgers games, and they had a Bring Your Kids Out day where they would give you free stuff, and I remember having a blue Dodger bat. But I don't even like baseball now. So that would be the closest sports team that might have been able to get my fanhood by me living in the same area at the time. But the real reason why I'm a Steelers fan is because my grandfather actually played for a team called the Steelers that would later become the National Football League team, the Steelers. He also played for Penn State before that, and he was a amateur wrestler. But while I was growing up with him, he would make me watch Steelers games. And I was a fan during a horrible dry spell when Tommy Maddox was the quarterback. And it was really hard to be a fan of the Steelers then. I mean, I would hear stories about Terry Bradshaw and how he led the Steelers to all these victories, but, you know, when I was watching it, my grandfather was getting so frustrated, you know. And I remember hearing a story about a garbage man who, while going through Pittsburgh, decided to collect all the trash of the entire neighborhood and then drive over to Tommy Maddox's house and dump his entire load on the lawn because he was sucking so bad. And after, you know, being a fan through that dry spell, because I would watch football with my grandfather, and he passed away. But, you know, to see the Steelers now and their winning streak, it's reinvigorated my fanhood for them. I've been watching them since I was a kid. No matter where I was, even overseas, I would watch the Steelers. And now, when I'm out of market for them, when I can't even get their games unless I'm in a place like a sports bar or I have a satellite package, I do stream them on the internet just to catch Steelers games. So, Forced Identity 00 decided to go apeshit with his questions. And his are all pretty much original. Okay, his first question is, how do I get 400 subscribers? I guess like I just did. Grow boobs. That would be the quickest way to get some more subscribers. And I'm not saying that any female on YouTube does not deserve the subscribers that they have. It's just a lot easier for girls to do it because of the demographics of the people using YouTube, which is mostly male. And anyone who has a large subscriber base, if they were to show you the demographics in their insight, you would see that girl or boy, no one really has more than a third of their views coming from females. Most people have under 20%, because that's the people who are using YouTube. It's mostly male. So grow boobs would be one answer. See, for the longest time, I had a video count that was larger than my subscriber count. And I would see people who had maybe 50 videos up that I couldn't really tell the quality difference between theirs and mine. You know, sometimes it's just hit or miss. You know, you have to be prepared for the opportunity when it comes. You know, and now I have a subscriber base that keeps on nudging ahead of the number of videos that I have actually uploaded. And for me, it seems like every time I don't upload videos for a week, I don't get as many subscribers as when I upload a video every day. Next question from him. Can I be your new best friend on YouTube? There's a lot of different people that want to be your best friend on YouTube. But no, I think when I called Fitch my BFF, I think I meant it. That I will probably be responding to his videos for a long time to come, especially because I disagree with him. And I don't see myself disagreeing as much with you, Forced Identity 00. Where is Jimmy Hoffa buried? I don't know, but I would assume that maybe he wasn't buried. He might have had the whole cement shoes thing happen to him, so then he would be drowned underwater and not ever get a proper burial. He might be fish food. Which is sad, because I am a proponent for union labor, and so was he. If you didn't shoot the deputy, then who did? I really like Eric Clapton's guitar playing, the fumble-fingered guitar playing style. But see, my brother-in-law Andy, he has a problem with Eric Clapton because the whole song "Tears in Heaven," because he believes that Eric Clapton probably should have been a more responsible parent and shouldn't have gotten famous off of a song for his dead child, you know, when he probably should have been a better parent, and no one should be rewarding him for that. But as far as the question, directly the question, not where you're getting the question from. Right now, I'm just going to admit to shooting the sheriff, shooting the deputy. I was the second gunman in the grassy knoll. I am the one who faked the moon landing. Yeah, I've been accused of a few things lately that were impossible for me to do, and I think a few people understand what I'm getting at here. So, yeah, when people want to make an accusation such as who shot the deputy. If you didn't, then I'm just going to say, yeah, I did it. You know, even though it's fucking possible for me to have done it. So, little off from your question. I'm sorry, but that's my answer. It was me. Will people ever learn how to properly use the ellipses? Like in conversation or in a book? I learned how to use ellipses properly over and over again, but then the farther I went in my English classes, having one of my majors be English, I learned that you learn the rules of English and then you break them as much as you want. Yeah, so there is a proper way to use them, but the most proper way to use ellipses is the way that gets the most reaction out of someone. And if someone uses them in a way that makes you say, hey, that's wrong, maybe they did it on purpose. For myself, in my writing, I tend to ignore the way that some people have classically used paragraph breaks, where one space would just be the next idea, and 2 or 3 spaces in between paragraphs denotes a long period of time having passed, or a serious break in the train of thought. I tend to throw those rules out the window and use different ways of breaking up paragraphs in my own style. So, there you go. What is my favorite episode of The Twilight Zone? The one where the kid wishes things out into the cornfield, you know, and everyone's scared of him. I don't know the name of the episode, sorry. And I'm not even going to look at it. If somebody knows the episode that I'm talking about, just put it in the comments, please. I'm trying to get through this here. Double, secret, or cleaning agent. People get the name Agent of Doubt wrong a lot. My original intent for the name was more like an agent of change to help people to doubt. That would be the type of agent. Not anything like James Bond. I've never actually heard anyone ask me about it being cleaning agent, but just recently I was on the phone with Aldous Valor, and he said that me pitching him an idea of who to arch next, he said that I was acting like an agent, like a Hollywood agent, or I was trying to sell him, pitch him an idea. So none of those are right. It's just Agent of Doubt. What's eating Gilbert Grape? Not enough nods at award ceremonies. What's the first thing you'll do after the rapture? I would, if I thought that a rapture had happened, I would be really curious as to which religion was right and which, subsects of religions were wrong. Would it just be the atheists left and anyone of any sort of faith gets, taken up? Or would it be just the Westboro Baptist Church that just disappears off the face of the earth? Because, there are many different denominations in many different religions that even think that the other denominations within their parent religion, under that umbrella, the other denominations are going to hell. So I would be very curious to see which ones went and which ones didn't. And I would probably spend a long time exploring that. If you could be any Star Wars character, who would you be? See, I'm thinking about Han Solo because he gets, Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, and back in the day she was hot. She was a hottie patati, especially when Jabba had her in that getup. But and see, I would want to be something where the focus of the story was on me, and I really think that the Star Wars story, all 6 movies we have right now, is pretty much about the fall and redemption of Anakin Skywalker. So he's to me more the focus of the entire story, rather than Luke Skywalker. But I don't know per se, but I would probably say a Jedi, and I use the analogy of the Jedis versus the Sith a lot in conversations concerning atheists and apologists. I've called apologists Dark Lord Siths many times, so I've called myself pretty much the Jedi many times. And let's see. Last question from Forced Identity 00 is, how do I defeat Dracula at the end of Castlevania? The NES version. And first of all, fuck you, because my NES has been broken for 10 years and there's no way for me to, warm it up and show you on one of my televisions. I don't even think the connections would match up anymore. So, fuck you for me having to go find an emulator for my computer. And watch this.